All right, it is time for the 10-day community detox. And so I'm so excited for those of you that are going to get this detox done, get started. And we start with a 10-day community detox because anybody can do something for 10 days. So that gives you a place to like really focus in and get and meet the first goal, right? The first goal is 10 days. And if we need or want to detox more, I'm going to show you how to expand that detox. But the first question you always want to ask yourself on a detox is, why am I doing a detox? And so for me, detox is really about the fact that I can. Because I remember years ago, my grandmother, as she started aging and she stopped walking. And I remember my dad being so upset because Mama wouldn't walk and Mama wouldn't walk. And if she would just walk just a little bit, she would stay healthy longer. And she just wouldn't do it. She had gotten to the point that she either wouldn't or couldn't. And when you get to that point that you can't, there's kind of no turning back to return to health. And so for me, doing a detox every year, at least once a year, usually twice a year, sometimes more than that, is about, hey, I can still do this. And 10 days always feels so much more manageable than committing to, say, a whole 30 or a 28-day detox. But what I often find is that when people start with a 10-day detox, they're often ready to continue. And so that's what I'm hoping for you is that you're ready to continue to a 28-day detox after you get about day 7, 8, 9. But you've still, whether you do or not, for whatever reason, you've still reached that first goal of setting the tone for the year that we're going to get healthy, stay healthy. Let me introduce you to the Champions team. We just came off of a fantastic weekend doing our resolutions to reality event, and the team's grown. We're just all super excited that everybody can reach their health goals this year. So I'm just going to introduce everybody real quickly. I'm going to start in the back row. That's the first one is Greg Mitchell. He is one of our clinical nutritionists, followed by Renee McCain. Next to her is Terry Ward. So these three are all clinical nutritionists. Right next to them in the center under the NS of resolutions is Dr. Ashley Vilar, our chiropractor, who's here one day a week at Center for Champions. And next to that is Michelle Phillips. And in the front row, you have Elizabeth Yon. She is our acupuncturist, and she is turning some heads around here with what acupuncture can do. And then right beside her, Reese Hostetler, who is one of our administrative assistants, and myself, Jennifer Withey, and my twin, Jennifer Haas, right beside me. So this is the Champions team as we stand January 2026. And I want you to point out specifically your detox coach. That would be Renee McCain. And if you guys can put in the chat how to reach her at detox@centerforchampions.com. We want you to reach out to her if you have detox questions. If you are having a symptom pattern, something changes in the middle of the detox, and you're not really sure what's happening, Renee is going to be your to get to it. Now, if you are working with any of the other clinicians, you can absolutely reach out to your clinician or reach out to the Champions front desk anytime. But the key is that you have a detox coach. That's Renee McCain. She's done, I don't really know how many detoxes, so she's going to be able to help you out, helping us with food ideas, and we're going to be helping you out in the Facebook group, giving you some recipes, showing you some of the meals that we're doing along the way. So that is our team. We look forward to helping you through this detox. All right, so let's go to what do you need? And the first thing is that there's only two products, which I love about this particular detox. There's only two products that you need. And to be honest, you could get away with doing it with one, the SP Detox Balance shake. We'll talk about the hows to use it in a little bit, but we're going to first, so the why is that shake has everything in it for a deep cellular detox. Helps the body with phase 1 to mobilize toxins from phase 1 to phase 2, has the nutrients, has the protein. So that is a very powerful, potent product. As a matter of fact, I've put a few guys on this product at a low dose short term, and they start losing weight, and they're usually just so happy with that that becomes their standalone supplement program. The GI Adsorb, the reason we've added the GI Adsorb is that GI Adsorb is a binder for those toxins. It helps to make sure your body is just that it gives your body that much more support in pulling those toxins out. It also has some Colinsonia root to help with the bowel regularity during your detox. And so it keeps things moving for us and getting those toxins to not just mobilize within the body, but to ensure that exit process. So I love GI Adsorb in that process for us. So anyway, so those are the things that we require or we recommend for the detox. And if you are a patient with us, you may have, or a client with us, you may have other needs when you start doing the detox. And what we want you to know is that when you have symptoms, when something comes along during a detox, the there are possibly those are usually indicators of something else that's going on for us. And we have these additional support items that are highlighted. There's 100 supplements behind me that you might want to use or could possibly use during the detox. But these are some highlighted ones that you might want to consider ask specifically about for yourself when you're talking to your clinician. And so the first one is Gymnema. So I love Gymnema because Gymnema has this really special effect that it actually will bind to certain receptor locations, which prevent the activation of the sugar molecules. And so the actual effect of this is what happens is if they when they bind to those receptors, you can't taste sugar. And so this is a really good way to avoid sugar because if you eat something that has sugar after you've sucked on a little bit of a Gymnema tablet, what happens is you can't taste the sugar. You can't put the sweet part, but you can taste the fat. You can taste the other things in it. And so it doesn't taste very good to just eat the oils, just the straight butter without the sweetness of it. That will really change those sugar cravings, control the cravings. If you ever want to test it out, you could do one or two things. You can either suck on the tablets for about 10, 20 seconds and you'll get that response, or you can come to the office. We have an open bottle of liquid that nobody likes the liquid, but we have an open bottle that you could always taste a little bit of that liquid and you could see that it makes this huge difference. And it doesn't matter what kind of sugar that you taste. It's what sugar does, what the Gymnema does to those sugar receptors. It doesn't matter if it's natural sugar or stevia, all sugars will lose their flavor when you're doing that. Now, if you just swallow the Gymnema tablet, it doesn't have that effect. It may have a slight effect on the removing that taste of the sugar, but it won't have that strong effect. But it's still valuable because what that's going to do is it's going to help the pancreas to maintain the blood sugar in a more balanced way. So normally when we eat sugar, our blood sugar goes up pretty fast, which causes that to spike down. And so it keeps the blood sugar in a much more balanced state. So that's one of the things that you would want to know about Gymnema is it supports the pancreas whether or not you're eating sugar or sucking on the tablet, whatever. Another product you might want to know about is Antronex. Antronex is a very popular product for reducing the detox reaction, the headaches that sometimes are followed, because it creates a more efficient response to the body's detoxification process and keeps the detoxification process about those natural body fluids and things that are going to be released. So that may happen to you. Your body may start to release toxins very much more efficiently. And when it does that, you might get this headache because your body can't completely remove them as quickly as possible. And that happens often when the bowels are slow. So I'm going to jump down, go out of order now, and you might see down below a little bit intestinal cleanse 1. So if you start having those detox reactions and you need the Antronex, it's probably an indicator that those bowels are slow and sluggish, and you might want to use a little bit of intestinal cleanse 1 to keep moving the bowels. The worst thing in a detox is to get your toxins circulating as opposed to removed from the body. And we want to make sure that any toxins that we're getting rid of that we can actually fully release. All right, we're going to keep going. We're going to go back up to Adaptocrine. Adaptocrine, Rhodiola Schisandra, and Nevaton are three they're sister products for me in this detox process. And I had a patient the other day. She came in and she was saying that she said, last year you told me it wasn't a good idea to do a detox. And I was like, oh gosh, I remember because most of the time I'll tell everybody to do a detox. But in this particular case, this gal, her stress level and the level of responsibility she had that year was so super high that I was like, adding another stressor on your body isn't a great idea right now. That's very rare, but in some cases, adding the stressor of doing the detox is the right idea because they just need to kickstart. And so if that happens to be you, adaptocrine can really help us give us the energy, the drive to keep doing the detox when we feel like I just can't quite do it. I don't quite have all the energy I need. Adaptocrine is a great support for us. It's a combination of adaptogenic herbs, really powerful, has a little bit of actual hydrochloric acid in it to help with digestion, and super powerful when you just can't quite stay awake and keep that energy up. Rhodiola Schisandra has a slightly different take to it. It's what I would call calming energy. So if somebody that's a little bit wired and hyped up about this detox, but they just can't calm down and go to sleep, they're the ones that might be really worried about it and can't quite get it. They need something to calm themselves down. And if Rhodiola Schisandra is not enough, you might want to go to the Nevaton for that irritability. If the irritability is just that frustration level really starts to peak up, Nevaton's going to calm the system down, get you into that parasympathetic state where you can rest and digest. Because that's one of the things that's really hard for us to remember is that we need to be resting during a detox. We think, oh, I've got a little more energy, I'm going to go. But really, you want to be resting to do that, to do a detox and to get through it healthfully. All right, next on our list is our perfect amino electrolytes. And that would be an electrolyte drink that has some extra amino acids in it to help with the detox process. Amino acids are key. Your proteins are key to the detox process is working. They are required for your body to release toxins from the system. And then the electrolyte drink itself helps to keep those mineral levels up, keeps you hydrated. We are not always great at hydrating ourselves on or off a detox because we get busy, we forget to drink our water, or maybe some people are used to drinking maybe sweetened tea, sweetened sugary soft drinks, juices, things like that, which aren't on the detox food list. And so maybe you're not used to doing that and just drinking straight water. This gives you an option that's sweetened with monk fruit and stevia. And then lastly, a new product that we're recommending adding to the detox is our SP Red Food. This is a new product for Standard Process and a very powerful one. It's red because of the astaxanthin in there, and it's a powerful antioxidant. What do antioxidants have to do with detox? When you are detoxing, your body's taking toxins out of the system. And the first step is to take them, they're toxins that are fat soluble, and then to make them water soluble and then move them to phase two detox. And in this process, our body creates free radicals. Free radicals in the body they're mopped up quickly. But in this case, you might be creating more free radicals than your body's used to picking up. So the SP Red Food is a powerful way to create that antioxidant support to make sure those free radicals are picked up in that detox process, which is really spot on for a detox. The second thing is that it's good for cardiometabolic health, good for glucose metabolism, glucose handling. It's good for your carbohydrate handling and also your fat handling. So it's going to help with those two things. And as a bonus, one of the things that I noticed one year when I was doing a Whole30 is that eating healthy foods, I noticed that my eyesight improved. And SP Red Food is also known to help with the eyesight. So you might just see some improvement overall and things that you weren't expecting. These are the cool things with detoxes, things we're not always sure what symptom you're going to notice. And it may be better eyesight, it may be calmer energy. It may be better sleep. It may be I'm not snoring at night. So those are kinds of the things that are really powerful. So there's a QR code there for some more info about some of these things. And there's also, if somebody could put in the chat that link, I would love for that chat to be there so that we can get that picture of what we need. So are there any questions, thoughts, anything anybody wants to add while we are on this page? It's a lot of information about a lot of products. I will go on. All right. So the first thing when we do a detox and we take out foods, the first thing that happens to people is that they feel like all the foods have been all the foods have been removed and that they don't have any foods left to eat. And that is not true. There's plenty of things to eat on a detox. So first things first, water is important. You need the water to flush the toxins. And so the question is, how much water? And so somebody that hasn't been drinking 8 ounces of water is probably going to be surprised to know that the calculation is pretty simple, and that is to take your body weight. So if you weigh 150 pounds and you cut that in half, 75 is the number. If you're 150, you get to 75, and at 75, that's 75 ounces of water you need daily. So if you happen to be 250 pounds doing a detox, you need to be at 125 ounces of water. So that's a for some people, that's going to be a lot of water. And I just want you to know that's the first things first. We have to be able to flush the toxins. Make sure that you have that number in your head. And I will tell you that protein is a key to this cellular detox. You might have done detoxes in the past where you would do a vegetarian portion. Because of the deep cellular nature of this detox, protein is key. And so you might consider, if you're not good at this protein eating thing, you might consider adding some either ProtoFood or perfect amino electrolytes, not electrolytes, perfect amino tablets. If you're not if you're not sure that you're getting enough, we're gonna talk about how to calculate that here in a second. But if you're not sure you're getting enough, you feel tired, something doesn't feel right, you're probably not getting enough protein. Because when we take out foods that are familiar to us, our first thing that we often do is not eat enough. And if you don't eat enough, the thyroid's gonna think, oh, there's a famine. And if there's a famine and we're not eating enough, the body's not going to do the detox work. Your body's going to instead it's going to go into survival mode, storage mode. That's the last thing you want in a detox. It's often very discouraging to people if they do a detox and they don't lose weight. But we got to consider the whole picture. If you have underlying thyroid issue, you might need some extra thyroid support during this detox because especially if you're not eating enough. So we're going to calculate this. So for your protein needs, this is the calculation. You need 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. Okay, so in order to do that, you take your weight and you divide by 2.2. So I'm going to grab my handy dandy calculator and I'm going to take my weight 140 and I'm going to divide it by 2.2 and I'm going to get 63. So 63 grams of protein is my minimum intake for protein on this detox. However, some people need more, and you should actually multiply that times 1.5, which would mean that my protein would be 95 grams of protein in a day for this detox to work efficiently. 95 grams of protein for a lot of people is way more than they're used to. So depending on how much you weigh, you've got to know that minimum is dividing by your weight by 2.2. And if you're somebody that might need more of the maximum, it's taking that after you divide by 2.2, multiplying by 1.5. And if somebody can put those numbers in the chat, that'd be helpful for me. And so if you look at that and so you want to know that. But one other thing that you really want to know about that protein is that your protein need shouldn't be 95 grams at one setting. We can't just get a big giant steak at the end of the day and it work. Your body will store protein. It'll show protein as fat if you get more than about 25 grams at a time. It's kind of an estimate, but So you really want to get your protein in 20 to 25 grams at a time. So if I'm aiming for 95 grams of protein, I'm going to be looking at eating 20 grams of protein 5 times a day. So just keep that in mind as you're working through what am I going to eat on this detox. All right, another thing to talk about is that there's the fats, those healthy fats that we have pictured there. Those healthy fats, those are going to be key to keeping you feeling full. We're used to eating carbohydrates at higher amounts, but fats, they're going to keep you full longer. So eat your fats with your protein, your fats and protein, your salmon, that's always a good one. Your eggs, they have fats and protein, your avocados, your seeds, your nuts, and follow that with some water. And then give your body a little bit of time. We're used to eating popcorn by the barrel. When you eat popcorn by the barrel, it doesn't always, you don't realize that you're getting full. I just want you to know that you will actually be more full, but you might not recognize it because we're used to eating handsfuls of things. So just keep that in mind. And then on the bottom there is a picture of powdered stevia. And stevia is a sweetener that's allowed on the detox. There is a pantry list on the detox handout. The detox handout, there's a digital guide for the detox now, and in that there is a grocery list. So I want you to look for that grocery list. If I don't know if we'll get it in the chat log, but in the chat, but if you get that in the chat log, we will that might be helpful. I don't know if anybody has that link. If not, just reach out to us, reach out to your detox coach, and we'll get that in. I've got this question from Teresa real quick. It says, if we're trying to lose weight, can we use the goal weight, calculate protein, or not recommended during the cleanse? I'm not quite sure I'm understanding that question. Can you unmute? Can you ask me that more directly?
Yeah, if we're trying to lose 10 pounds and we're calculating our protein intake, can we divide that new weight by the 2.5, or is that not recommended for this cleanse?
Yeah, it's we're dividing by 2.2, but
Or 2.2.
you could definitely look for that. That won't make it off by very much. That won't
Okay.
make it off very much. And it's okay to run a little bit of a calorie deficit on this. You don't want a lot of a calorie deficit because you don't want your body to hit that starvation mode. But if your BMI and with that you get to the point where you're calculating you're at like 20, let's just say 1800 calories is your minimum that you need. You can do a little deficit of about 200 calories, but I wouldn't go much less than that. And I would make sure your protein is part of the calories that you actually eat. Does that make
Okay,
sense?
that makes more sense. Yeah. So
Yeah.
as opposed to trying to cut protein, just do a slight calorie deficit, but keep the protein up.
Correct, correct. If
Okay.
you're doing a calorie deficit, don't lose the protein because the protein is the key to the detox effect. So, good
Perfect.
question. That's a great question. I'm sure a lot of people were thinking about that. Wait, I do want to lose some weight on this thing, and it's only 10 days. But anyway, that's the thing. And you want to make sure you want to lose weight on a detox, but you don't want to lose it too fast. And definitely spread in that protein throughout the day. Any other thoughts, questions about what to eat? And we're going to be sharing some recipes along the way. And if you click that QR code or go to our detox page on our website, you'll see that there are lots of recipes to try. And that's right now, this is why we're having this kickoff call today on the 13th. And when we start on the 19th, is so that you can go look at recipes and figure out what am I going to try. One of the things that I know is that we are creatures of habit and we tend to eat the same thing over and over. So if you take somebody and you look at their food log, after about 3 or 4 days, they start repeating things, or they repeat things for 3 days in a row, and then they get something new into their diet, and then they repeat that for 3 days. So depending on how you are, some people don't like to eat the same thing meal after meal, but doesn't matter what you do by 7 days, 8 days, 10 days in, you've pretty much seen almost everything somebody's going to eat. And so if I can change three of your meals significantly, I've completely changed your diet. So right now is the time to start looking for a few recipes that you like to give yourself a chance to know the right thing, to know which things you want to try and start getting prepared, getting ready, going to the grocery store, planning your what day am I going to the grocery store? Am I going Saturday? Am I going Sunday? You don't want to wait till Monday night. Monday night's you're gonna be a day in, you're gonna be frustrated, you're gonna be hungry, you're gonna be grouchy, you're gonna be wanting some Nevaton. That's not a good time to get prepared. Now's the time to get prepared for the detox. Any other questions on what to eat? All right, so let's look here at our next page here. Our next page here is the program tracker. You don't have to have this, but some people like this. Some people like marking off things on a picture. And I don't know, maybe I'll try that this year because I do marking things off. I have never actually used this tracker, but I think it might be a good idea for me. And so it looks like this, right? On this detox, we it's ideal to walk yourself up in increasing the detox effects so we don't create what we call Herxheimer reactions, where we get this feeling of feeling bad from doing something good. And so that your body responds negatively when we think it should be responding positively. And you would start by doing 1 shake a day with 2 scoops of the powder in the SP Detox Balance or the XP Detox Balance chai flavored. And that would give you 17 grams of your protein for that day. So that's kind of nice. And then the next day you're going to do 2 shakes with 2 scoops of protein each, which is 4 scoops of protein. Total will give you 34 grams. Day 3, you want to also do that. And then at that point, you're probably ready to increase to day 4. Now, I will say that on the 28-day program, they don't ramp it up quite that fast. So if you get to day 2, day 3, and you're starting to have some detox headaches and you're starting to need the Antronex or your bowels are slowing down, you might not want to get up to the 3 shakes a day with 6 scoops of protein shake the next day. That's okay. Reach out to the detox coach, reach out to your clinician, reach out to somebody to help you make that call because that's always a little confusing to people. But what we learned this weekend, we're actually reminded of by Dr. Crippen, was that there's bio individuality and that we're not all made the same. And since we're not all made the same, we might need different amounts of protein powder. Some people may be able to jump on that 3 scoops, 2 scoops 3 times a day on day 1 and not have any kind of reaction and actually do great and maybe lose an extra pound or 2 because they went faster. But if you don't know yourself and what your body's going to do, you want to ramp that up. And so the other thing about that shake situation is that sometimes 6 shakes a day, 3 shakes a day is a lot with the 6 scoops of protein powder. And so if that is you, it is okay to do 3 scoops of protein powder twice a day. And you'll see that'll be 51 grams of protein divided by 2. So you'll be right at 25 grams of protein in there. So that you wouldn't want to do too much more than that in that shake. But that is an option for you to get the protein in differently. All right. And then the second section there is, and so if you decide, hey, I'm going to take this and I'm not going to do a 10-day, I'm going to the 28 days. After day 7 is about where you want to decide. Day 7 is where you want to decide, am I going to 28? And so I hope some of you decide to go 28 because that is like, if you really want to make a 10-day detox is a kick in the pants. But a 28-day is a firm commitment to making real lasting change. So I really hope that when you get to day 7, you kind of you're like, I've already been doing this and I've already got 7 days worth of food. So I know how to do this and I can do this 7 days worth of food 3 more times and really make some headway. And then anyway, so on the tracker, they do encourage you to track your water intake, your exercise, and just how you're feeling. Maybe some notes. This is a good time to journal what comes up for you. A lot of us we use food as emotionally. One of the times I did a detox, the experience I had was quite profound. I had a recycling bin in the bottom of my pantry back then, and I went to put something in the recycling bin, and as I bent down to do that, I saw a box of crackers. And when I saw that box of crackers, I was like, oh, crackers, that would make me feel better. And I realized that the crackers were an emotional thing for me, not a physical, I need crackers. It was an emotional thing. It was that emotional comfort food. And so you may have some experiences like that, and that might bring up some memories from the past. It might bring up some things for you. It might bring up reminders. You might feel like I'm not very hungry, and that reminds you that grandma used to force feed me and make me finish my, or dad or mom or somebody. Or I got in trouble for not eating it too much or not eating enough or not eating too much. And all those things, all those emotions sometimes come up because when we're detoxifying, we're changing ourselves cellularly. And when we change cellular function, everything changes, energy changes. There's all these things. And that's powerful for starting this year off and getting our minds wrapped around what we want to do with ourselves for the year. At this point in the year, we're at that point of the year where we've got that open door. We've opened a new door, a new year, and we say, what's possible for 2026? It's still fresh. What's possible? And that's a good place to be. So when you open this up to doing the detox, you're going to have some of that what's possible. You might have some of that, oh, I'm not going to be able to do it. But by doing it by at the beginning of the year, we're able to set the tone of what's possible. So I encourage you to use this to help you remind yourself, I can do hard things. Because it's not always the excitement of January. We don't always have January to be excited about. We always have to look for how to keep ourselves focused on ourselves and our health and what do we really want? One of the things Dr. Crippen asked us on Saturday was, what do you consider optimum health? And for different people, that's different things. We've had insulin dependent diabetics say, but I'm just not going to give up my chocolate cake. So that's their picture of health. Their picture of health is I'm willing to give up my physical health for enjoying what this tastes like. That's hard for me to understand, but that's not me. And that's probably not the person coming to do the detox. But because if you're doing the detox, you've chosen to make some changes in your diet. I just want to go back to that because there's a couple of things that people often ask. Do I have to give up on a detox? And one thing is we don't have to completely give up sweet things because there's fruit. I do encourage you that fruit is hard on the liver detox processes. So your body has to convert the sugar in fruit through the liver. So minimizing the fruit is a good idea on a detox. Making sure that you're eating twice as many vegetables as you are fruit. Making sure you're getting your protein in before you get your fruit in. Those are powerful things. I personally like to only do fruit in the morning, earlier in the day, because I don't want that blood sugar spike right before I go to bed. I want to be able to sleep well through the night. So sugar's one, and there are sweet things, but we're just not used to not eating our chocolate bars. We're used to eating or our candies, especially coming off Christmas, and we've had the cookies and cakes and all the indulgent food. And that's the one thing, but you can have some sweet things because you can have stevia, you can have some fruit. And then the second thing people ask me about giving up that I forgot about when I was talking about what to eat is what not to eat. And one of those things is caffeine. We highly urge you to take a caffeine fast during this 10 days. And if you are a multiple coffee or multiple caffeinated drinks per day, now on January 13th is the time to start decreasing that caffeine intake. And so that by the time you get to day one, it's not a cold turkey. I'm giving up the caffeine on top of changing my whole diet. So it's a powerful thing. Caffeine can really affect cortisol levels, which affects the adrenal glands, the whole hormonal axis. So on the one hand, you'd give it up. And those first few days, that hormonal axis may be going, what did you do? That was something that I was using as a crutch. And if that's the case, you might want to you might end up needing to add some Adaptocrine, add some Nevaton. That's especially if you're really dependent on it. And if you're really dependent, let's just say you're the 6 coffees a day guy. And if you are that person, your detox may be successful by dropping to one because that keep things a little more balanced. But again, that is a individual bio-individuality thing that we want you to pay attention to and discuss with your clinician or to reach out to the detox coach if you have any questions about that. So I think that answers the questions about food, maybe, hopefully. If you have others, again, reach out to us. I do have one little caveat that I would like to share with you about this detox. So I'm going to do this. All right. This is something that we do at Champions, and I wanted to just let you know that if you're a detoxer, a hair analysis is a great tool to see the state of the union for you. You can take the hair sample at any time, unless you've just dyed your hair, and that would be you need to wash your hair at least, I think it's 10 times before taking the sample. So as long as you go at least 10 days or washing your hair 10 times. Maybe some people don't wash their hair every day, but if you're looking at that, but that hair analysis is going to give us something really special. It's going to give us your mineral levels. It's going to help us to see. And I honestly, if I could pick a time to do a hair analysis, doing it right after the 10 days, even if you're continuing on, right after that 10 days gives us a kind of middle of the road kind of deal. It'll give us your minerals, your mineral balance. It'll give you your toxic metals. So lead, arsenic, mercury, cadmium, aluminum. Those are toxic metals that your body's going to be detoxing. Curiously, to some people, when you're doing a detox, sometimes those numbers go up. And that, if that happens, that's okay because that tells me what your body's trying to release out of the system. And but knowing what it's trying to release is a good thing. It's always good to know what your body's trying to release. And to be honest, I've never seen one that didn't have some elevated aluminum, but hopefully you're not one of those people, but I really haven't seen any. And then the second thing, the last thing that'll actually, this isn't the last thing. The last of these groups of markers is your trace minerals. And our food supply is woefully deficient in trace minerals. So that's going to be a powerful nutrient. You look at their lithium. I've got a doc friend who's doing a lot of research on lithium and how it's affecting people's brain cognitive health long term. And so if there's not enough lithium in the foods that you're eating, this is a great way to find out. On the very bottom of this sheet is the mineral ratios. Mineral ratios tell us whether you're dealing with more of a blood sugar issue, a thyroid issue, an adrenal issue, or the last ratio is on the protein, how your body handles protein, which is really a powerful thing to know when you're doing a detox. I encourage you to take advantage of that. We're giving you a discount of $25 off of your hair analysis for those of you that are at least doing the 10-day detox. So that's it's a really good time to do that. January, let's get a look at how things are going. So for that. So with that advertising, any questions about the hair analysis for anybody? All right. So I'm going to go, actually, let me check. No, nothing in the chat either. Okay. All right. And so any questions on anything overall? Does it tell anything about food sensitivity? The hair analysis does not give me a picture of food sensitivity other than the picture of how involved the blood sugar balance is. So it will tell me that. And so that's going to tell me from a food sensitivity, it's going to tell me a little bit about how sensitive you are to the carbohydrates. So that would definitely be on a picture of foods that you need to look at. But yeah. Any other questions? I'm sure people wonder about so many things. So questions are always helpful because if you're thinking it, other people are thinking it. There are people on this call, not on this call, who are going to be listening to this. So if you're on this call and you're like, I don't know if this is a good question, maybe like other people are going to get this recording and they're probably going to want to know the answers. So if you have any more, I am here for a little bit more. Yeah, and that's not key point, Renee. Questions will come. And when they come, I want you to reach out to us with your questions. All right. Yep. So we're going to get access to your detox coach. Reach out to your clinician. Let us know you're doing this detox. I want to know that you're doing it. That'll help our detox coach know to who to check on throughout a couple times in those first 10 days. If you decide to do the 28, anybody committed to the 28 yet? We're still thinking about it. Yes, just thinking about it. Share to the Facebook group, our Facebook reset. If you were on Facebook, please share your pictures of your food, share. It's okay. You could just ask the questions on that detox Facebook group because, like I said, if you have the question, other people have the question. And if you could be the brave one to ask, you're going to help so many other people. So that really is, and it's helpful to us because sometimes for somebody like me that's done multiple detoxes, so this is my 10th year in this clinical nutrition realm. And so I've done several detoxes. I haven't actually counted, but because some years I've done more than one, I'm sure I've done at least 10. And sometimes you forget what it was like. I do remember the first detox I did. It was a 21-day detox. And I remember getting to day 19 and asking my clinician, hey, does anybody quit at day 19? And the answer was yeah. And I was like, shoot, I can't do that. I don't want to be part of that crowd. I want to be part of the crowd that makes it to day 21. I don't, but yeah, but people, you get to day 2, day 3, day 5, and life gets complicated. And let me just tell you, life gets complicated and you want to run through the drive-through. And if that happens, like you can fast. I promise you, you won't die. I promise you, you will not die. You can fast for a day and get through it. Now, I don't want you to fast too long because with our busy weekend this weekend, I definitely didn't eat enough. And by last night, I was exhausted. So just know that you don't want to be exhausted while you're doing a detox, but you do want to take some time to rest if it's at all possible. So I encourage you in that way. Anything else while you're waiting for us? All right. All right, I'm going to hang on here. I'm not going to close out this call till everybody else logs out, but when you're all logged out, we will end this. But thank you so much for joining us. I wish you well. I know that you're going to have a great start to your year by doing this detox. So y'all let us know how we can support you. We are here for you during the time. Let's go.